I'd like to welcome our first guest to the show today. Karen Lisser is Executive Director of ECHO. Karen, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Could you tell me a little bit more about ECHO and its history and how you got involved in it?
The spark for ECHO began in 1969, late 1969, at St. Mary's Catholic Church here in Janesville. And they started a food pantry there. It grew and they realized the need was greater than even just they could handle. So the other Catholic churches actually joined in. St. Patrick's had a clothing closet, and then St. John Vianney joined in, and St. William's. And within a year or so, the other denominations joined in as well. So Presbyterian, Methodist, Lutheran, all of the different denominations joined in. And by 1975, it was incorporated, and they hired their first executive director. But between 69 and 75, they operated with volunteers, and they were doing the kind of things ECHO's doing, but then they incorporated in 75.
That's one of the signs that you're successful, I guess, is when you need to incorporate and start hiring people.
Right.
So they're clearly...
And then they had their own buildings then.
Okay. And now ECHO stands for Everybody Cooperates to Help Others. That was
That's
something
pretty close. Everyone cooperating to help others.
Okay.
And that's how it started, too. I mean,
now, how is ECHO different from other organizations that are serving underprivileged in Janesville?
We don't have as much red tape. There's one big difference. We are, and we are funded in various ways. The majority of the money that we get is free will donations from the community, which includes the churches, individuals, businesses, local foundations. Less than 20% of what we get is through government grants. And I know you're familiar with the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, which we apply through the city for. But we also get some other grants for doing emergency rent assistance.
So you have to find many different ways.
We do. We try to have some type of fund driver fundraiser going on every month, just to keep people aware that the need is there. The donations have a hard time keeping up with the growing need. And so it's not that people aren't being generous, they are. The people in this community really care about ECHO, they really care about what happens to their neighbor, the majority of the people, and they donate, but they have to be informed. So that's what my job is, to help them, and my staff's job, to help them be informed about what's going on.
Okay. Now, how do you see the developments that we've had over the last year, the flood, the GM plant closing? How do you see that impacting you're able to continue with your mission? Those
things hit us both ways. They hit us from the top. In other words, they hit our donations, and they hit us with, we have more need then. We have more people coming in the doors, or people needing to come in more often than they were.
Right, so you lost people who would have given, and now they turn from the ones who would give to somebody who needs help.
Right. And then the GM closure was huge. I mean, it's not only GM closing and the loss of those donors. GM employees are donors to ECHO. And right now they have benefit packages, so we're not seeing so much that they're coming in right now, although we've had a few. But what we're seeing is the supplier organizations coming in, LSI, Lear, the ones that were feeding GM. And then the effect that it has on, if fewer people are buying in the community, then jobs are affected.
Right.
That affects donations, and it affects, we have more people coming in.
So that goes back to that ripple effect that you described in your newsletter.
Yes.
So when you have one event that continues to impact other events, and then there's eventually we're dealing with what we're dealing with. Now you say, I mean, community service is important. How can people get involved with ECHO? There's not just need for non-perishables or some specific things that you're looking for. You're also looking for volunteers.
We're always looking for the goods, like you mentioned, volunteers and money. Volunteers, we need people who come at a certain time every week. We have some volunteers who come every day.
Wow. That's
unusual. You know, we don't expect that. But then we have other volunteers that come and help us in the pantry. The pantry is totally, downstairs is totally volunteer driven. the clients see the staff, which are paid staff, but the food orders are filled by volunteers. So the people that are packing those food orders, the people that are stocking the shelves, the people who are emptying the trucks and going and picking up donations in the community from stores and that, those are all volunteers.
Now, it sounds like a difficult job because you're dealing with so many people who are in such dire need that they need you. What do you find rewarding about your job and about being involved in the community? What keeps you going?
When you can put a smile on somebody's face, it is very rewarding. That they come in difficult situations and they leave with some hope. Even if you can't fulfill the needs that all the needs that they have, you've given them some hope by doing what you can. And in social work, you have to focus on what you can do to help somebody. You can't focus on the stuff that you couldn't do because you'll burn out real quick. You know. So
you find that specific thing that you can do, make a difference, and concentrate on doing that.
Right. Feeling good about what you can do.
Karen, I'm thrilled that you're here. Now, 2009, you said, is actually starting out pretty well for you.
This year started out better than last year for us, and we had a major...
That's surprising.
It is. It surprised me. I was really worried because when the donations first started coming in at the end of November and beginning of December, we were paying off a loan to keep the doors open. And but then we had a campaign going on. Two of our board members, Tim Cullen, Larry Barton, did a writing campaign, and people responded. And also people responded to what they were seeing in the paper, what they were seeing in the news, what they saw in our newsletter, that kind of thing. People respond when they know. And that is another thing that brings a smile to my face and makes me passionate about the work that I do at ECHO. When I see that we are totally funded by free will, almost totally funded by free will donations, right. And I see that people who are in dire straits, everybody's being affected by this economic downturn, but they are still thinking of other people. And they are saying, hey, I got it a little bit better than the person next to me, so I'm going to donate.
That is really encouraging to hear. So yeah. I hope that your 2009 continues as well. What are some of the suggestions that you have for people who are maybe wanting to help out on their own?
There are a number of ways to help. There's if you're available during the regular business day, mm-hmm. Monday through Friday during the regular business day, there are constantly things going on at the office you can help with. We're always unloading trucks, packing food, and that kind of thing. But also we have special events. For example, our mobile market, which is at the fairgrounds. And we need an intense number of people to help with that.
Now, I did not know about the mobile market, and you said that's every last Wednesday of every month?
Correct.
And that takes place at the fairgrounds, and you have, how many people you said you have there?
I think we have about 70 volunteers for that. It takes about 4 hours total time. The truck comes in, it gets unloaded, gets set up, and then the distribution itself is about 2 hours.
And the food comes, this is all donations from private individuals? You have some supermarkets helping out?
It all comes from Second Harvest Food Bank in Madison.
Okay.
And corporate donations go to Second Harvest, and then when they have abundance of certain kinds of food, they bring it in for the mobile market. We also buy a lot of our food from them for our food pantry.
I see.
But this truckload of food that comes in is in addition to that, and it's free to us.
And ECHO is designed to help people specifically in Janesville. So
yes, that's our target group, because we don't have enough money to help everybody like we'd like to. But we help people in Rock County in other ways. For example, if somebody comes in for groceries and they're not from Janesville, mm-hmm. but they're from, let's say, Orfordville, and they don't have any food for that night, we'll fill a food order for them, but then we will tell them what pantry they should go to and when it's open.
Well, I'm glad that I learned a lot. Karen, thank you so much for being here, and I very much appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me.